WCS America. There you see Sen and Alicia and a nice shot of the skyline. Of course, we're about to enter match 2 of the night. And, after match 1, what a fantastic match 1. Match 2 should be maybe even better. We got 2 really star-studded players here.
That's right, of course. It is Alicia versus Sen. And Alicia, of course, famously from Team Axiom, one of the top players from that team house.
Yes.
He's gotten second place in like 3 or 4 different premier events, kind of the Silver Surfer, or you could say, grabbing all those silver medals. But getting second place in a tournament he's gotten second place in means he's gotten through some of the best of the best of the best in all these big tournaments. He's a very, very skilled player. The one thing I'm a little bit worried about is his weaker matchup is the Protoss versus Zerg matchup. In fact, I was even watching, he played in the GSTL just a couple days ago, and his PVZ there looked like it was a little bit weaker than, for instance, his PVT, which is absolutely fantastic.
Of course, facing off against the star from Taiwan. This is a guy in Sen who went from participating on, on foreigner teams, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but he was on Fnatic for a time, and then decided to kind of retreat back into the Taiwan Esports League, joining Gamma Bears, and he's been there for a very long time. So, as far as that element of, okay, where is his strategy at? Because we kind of saw that in the Taiwanese players and stuff, the Chinese players, how, the strategy might be a little bit different than what we would consider standard. So, it should be interesting to see what he pulls out, but Sen is a guy you never count out. He was, I think, he went the longest way in last year's global WCS. He was one of the final non-Koreans still alive in that tournament. So I feel like this can go either way. I might give a slight edge to Sen, though, but we'll have to see what happens.
I think I might give a slight edge to Sen as well. Of course, Sen's ZVP is kind of an old school ZVP style, very similar to if you watch Nest play the matchup. Maybe not liking mutas quite as much as Nest. Really likes to make lots of roaches and overwhelm his opponent. Against Alicia, and Alicia really loves early timing attacks. And I think a player with Sen's caliber of just roach production is actually going to be in a very good position to defend these different timing attacks that Alicia can throw out at him.
All right, let's see what happens, guys. Match 2, Game 1 will be on the map of Whirlwind. Players are in the game. Let's see what happens. I have the pleasure of introducing our 2 handsome individuals. In the top right-hand location, we have the red Protoss player representing Team Axiom. He is Alicia. His opponent in the top left-hand location of Whirlwind, hailing from Taiwan, representing Team Gamma Bears, he is Sen. Nick, you once told me that PVZ, you once told me that TVT was your favorite matchup. And then
yes.
I asked you the other day, I said, Nick, Heart of the Swarm, do you have a new favorite matchup? And you said PVZ might be your new favorite matchup.
It very well might. I mean, I still love TVT, but I've enjoyed PVZ so much more in Heart of the Swarm, primarily because there's so many different options for both players. Protoss can really go Sky Toss from an early point in the game without it being a total cheese move like it kind of was in Wings of Liberty if you just rush out mass Sky Toss. Also, there's a lot of different timing attacks. There's gateway openings and the gateway timing attacks. There's Void Ray gateway attacks. There's, of course, the standard Immortal attack. Even 2-base Colossi is more viable now with Time Warp. You can be a lot more aggressive in the mid-game with Recall. On a Zerg point of view, Hydras are a little more useful now, mostly because of the speed upgrade, and they have the Vipers that they can use to help counter Colossi. Also, of course, and just Vipers themselves are awesome units. Swarm Hosts introduce a lot of positional play. Mutalisks are more viable as well. Ultralisks are viable. There's so many options in PvZ from both sides. It's absolutely an amazing matchup to watch.
Not to mention like the mind games that actually happen in this matchup nowadays, like Zerg players faking Ling Hydra and then switching straight into Muta, or like going for really fast Ultras and just stocking up a bank off of 4 or 5 bases and then making 40 Mutas out of their larva. It's really crazy what kind of situations this matchup can produce. And I know we're in for something special here in match number 2 of the night of WCS America, round of 16. Starting things off, we see Sen going for this. Unless he's faking. I mean, does he know where his opponent is, first of all?
He might not have found out yet. In fact, he doesn't. He just knows he's not the bottom left, which is interesting because normally Zerg actually likes to take the third that Sen took more than the other third. but not with these type of spawns, because now that third is so close to the Protoss base that it's very dangerous to take that third, especially against a player like Alicia, who loves gateway time attacks. And this is something that I was about to actually say on Whirlwind. We may not see Alicia go for that option because, especially if it's cross the map, as long as your opponent denies early proxy pylons, it takes a little while to really move across the map and get that attack going. But if your opponent takes a third base this close to you, all of a sudden, his favorite style of play becomes really, really strong again.
Of course, the key is going to be getting that pylon as close as possible to your opponent's third base if you're constructing some sort of gateway timing attack. And since Alicia is, already naturally so close to his opponent's third base, presumably it's not going to be as difficult. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on the third and fourth gases of Alicia, because generally if a Protoss does not take those, he's looking to do a gateway timing attack. Speaking of which, he took his second gas. Okay, just now putting guys on his second gas. So I thought for a second he was doing something crazy off of one gas. But putting some gateways at his natural expansion, what has become a little bit standard has been 4-gate timing aggression off of 2 bases, delaying those gases at the natural just a little bit and trying to, deny that third base or at least get a lot of drone kills.
One thing I've seen Alicia do in the past is he only shows 2 gates at the front of his expansion, then he builds a 3rd gate back in his main. Actually, no, this time,
Stargate.
Going straight for the Stargate play, so it's going to be a little bit of gateway pressure, followed up with Stargate play. And I've seen him do like a little bit of fake gateway pressure to try to force his Zerg to stay low econ, then followed up with a Void Ray gateway timing. He could also go into Oracle, or he could say, we'll just play a standard Phoenix type of airplay.
Mothership Core coming straight to this third base. He's like, oh, hey there, Jones. I'm going to start trying to kill y'all. Sen trying to keep all his guys alive. Might lose one drone, and he does. Alicia going to be very happy with that exchange.
Yeah, not losing much life at all on that Mothership Core. Of course, his shields will regenerate, and now he knows his opponent has that third base. In fact, he's been able to get proxy pylons up very close to Sen's spaces.
All right, let's see what happens here. We got some Lings in production here. A safety Roach Warren from Sen as well. 16 Lings there in production. Speed is only halfway done, and we have a Phoenix in production from Alicia. So even though his opponent is so close, even though he has that forward pylon, only making 3 warp gates worth of aggression. So probably going to try to feint the 4-gate, because if you do the 4-gate, you're generally not going to have too fast of tech behind it. Just show these zealots, and maybe his opponent will be unprepared for that Phoenix follow-up.
That's definitely his plan here. The Zealots are heading into the natural base. Sen never scouted that proxy pylon. He does have enough ground units to defend this attack without too much trouble, but of course, every drone he's not building puts him in a weaker position in the mid-game against an opponent who already has that air tech in play.
Don't want to lose any drones here. Looks like he lost 1 or 2 there to those Zealots. A decent attack there from Alicia, but Sen with plenty of units to deal with that. Behind this, again, he only has 35 Harvesters right now, so really investing a lot into trying to deflect against that early gateway pressure. And that wasn't much of an investment from Alicia.
He hit the Void Ray. That's such an important thing he's doing, because what he's going to go for a Void Ray gateway timing. And of course, he wants to convince his opponent it's just Phoenixes.
Also getting +1 weapons upgrade, which is very interesting on the Cyber Core.
A great upgrade in conjunction with the Void Ray. The Void Ray has an attack rate of a cooldown of 0.5, which means it attacks twice every second, one of the fastest attack rates in the entire game. Upgrades are very useful for your Void Rays.
Pylon's still up on the left-hand side of the map. Alicia warping in 3. Zealot's going to send that to the natural expansion once again. Sen now knows that the Void Ray is in play, running as fast as he can. One Roach is going to get unlucky and picked up by that Phoenix. Of course, that Void Ray going to kill that extremely quickly, getting that bonus against armored. The Zealots sprinting into the natural, trying to get some more drone damage done. But some Spores are in production here from Sen. What kind of unit composition does he need to go for to fend off this attack?
If it is a committed Void Ray gateway attack, he just really needs Queens and Roaches as the ideal competition. Of course, it looks like the fact that Alicia didn't cut probes, he didn't add more gateways, he's going to take a third base and use the Void Rays to defend against Roach aggression. Of course, Whirlwind, a lot of open spaces. Roaches are very difficult to beat in the early game without that air support.
Look at this, microing those Lings, trying to get the cancel onto this Nexus, and there it is, the cancel. Mission accomplished there from Sen. He's going to be happy. Killing the probe.
Oh, that's even a bigger blow to Roach. Is also pushing at the natural. Great force fields by Alicia. Going to minimize damage done there. Of course, he wants to start that third Nexus.
Yeah, he does. That's like super important. Needs to get a probe out there right away, or he might end up turning this into a crazy... Okay, no, there's that third base going down. Definitely wants to push this into the later stages. Meanwhile, we have +1 missile attacks on the way from Sen, as well as
9 more
Roach
Roaches.
speed. Yes. So he wants to be aggressive towards his third, but I don't know if he has the answer to the Void Rays, right? It's
following the Mondragon counter system, man. Against Void
That's from
Rays.
so long ago, our viewers might need a refresher of what that is.
Of course, there was a famous Broodor player, Mondragon, who in SC2 said the Zerg counter to everything Protoss has is roaches, with one exception. Make hatcheries against Phoenixes.
Let's see if that works out for him. Of course, the Spore Crawler getting annihilated there at third base in a matter of seconds. And now the hatchery being targeted down. So Sen definitely caught off guard a little bit by these Void Rays. Hydra Den is about 90% of the way done, so going to start providing that answer to the Void Rays. But Alicia doing a great job taking down that third and is just going to back away.
He is, and now all of a sudden the Zerg opponent is on 2 bases. Even if Sen takes down this third, which I think he will force a cancel, he's going to lose units to do so. And 2 bases versus 2 bases, it's very difficult for a Zerg to play Roach Hydra. Of course, Protoss air units are actually cost efficient against Hydralists with an equal money investment and sentries backing him up. Without the third base, Sen's going to have a hard time getting to overwhelming numbers.
Trying to take down those probes, and now a little bit of an indecision here from Sen. Should I go for the Nexus or should I go for this army? Looks like he's going to do a little bit of both, kiting his way towards that Nexus. Nexus down to 700 health. Can Alicia keep this alive? I think he will be able to, and yes, he most certainly will.
That's actually really big for Sen there. I almost just counted on him being able to kill the Nexus, but like you mentioned, the indecision, the Nexus is staying alive. Speedy's trying to counter.
Oh. Getting into the main base. Great run by here from Sen. Again, trying to delay as long as possible. This fish also spotting the 2 additional Stargates, which haven't necessarily been used yet by Alicia. 14 Hydras in production going straight for that Mineral Light in the main base. Meanwhile, attacking that third. Once again, it's solo and held down to 192, but it's going to stay alive for now. Photon Overcharge being placed onto that third base by Alicia.
You know, Sen's doing a lot of damage with these speeding counterattacks. The problem is his third is just now about to finish, and Alicia has the 3 bases stabilized. So even though he's been losing a few probes, he's been able to definitely produce more probes than he's lost.
3 more Zealots warped into that pile on the left-hand side. Hydra's finally out here for Sen. Going to try to take those down. Does it with ease. Now going to try to target down the pylon. Meanwhile, Alicia checking on the progress of the third base of his opponent, but going to back his army back up. So I think he might have identified this Hydra play, but Alicia looks like he's going for that 4v4 strat, just massing the voids.
I mean, this is a strategy that's very powerful against a Zerg player if you can stay on even economy and the Zerg player doesn't have something like a lot of Infestors in play or a lot of Queens in play. Those are the 2 units that can be cost efficient against Void Rays. In this situation, because of the damage Sen took early, he's not ahead of Alicia in economy, and he's using Hydralists, which really typically rely on an overpowering, numerically superior force. I don't know if Sen can actually have that numerical advantage, given that he's even down in supply right now. He's actually down in the income in the work account right now as well.
Yeah.
He has to deny the third base, but that's a very big army from Alicia.
A lot of Hydras here, but I'm not sure if it's enough. +1 missile, +2 missile is about to finish for these Hydras. That's definitely going to help a bunch. Sen choosing to engage, trying to get that concave. Alicia backing up for now. 3 Voiders, desperately wants to get those guys out on the field. Time Warp's going down, and force fields as well. Really good force fields here from Alicia, trying to keep that Hydra force away while enabling those 3 Voiders to come in and help out. And again, Ling's in production here, Hydra's in production here from Sen, but still trying to make this happen.
Of course, Alicia's trying to shave off 5-6 Hydras at a time. Every Hydra that dies is actually a fairly expensive unit, hard to replace. So far with great force fields, I think Alicia's killed about 7 to 8 Hydralists and hasn't lost anything but a Zealot or 2 so far in these engagements.
Units lost is 6,800 to 4,000 in favor of our Protoss player, so that's definitely beneficial for him, continuing to add on more and more Void Rays. Sen trying to make this work, still only on 3 bases. Hasn't added on a 4th just yet, which is a little bit surprising, considering I would consider that he might have map control here, considering he's the one applying the pressure, applying the aggression, but his drone count has been struggling quite a bit, so it makes sense as far as that's concerned. He's been prioritizing a lot of his investment, a lot of his money onto these Hydras and Lings to try to come up with an answer to this army here from Alicia.
Notice Alicia is getting the shield upgrade into Forge. That's not a common upgrade, but if you're using both gateway units and air units, it's the one Forge upgrade that helps everything you have. So in a mixed composition, like what we see Alicia constructing, the shield upgrade is a great upgrade.
Not a bad position here from Alicia. A lot of open space you can get from Sen. A lot of open space you can get yourself a nice concave, but Alicia's third is still up. It's very low on health. I know we tried to take that another. Hold on, we got an engagement on our hands. Sen going to be trying to engage Alicia here. Has a great concave, but the warp, the force field's trying to keep Sen away desperately. And again, Alicia adding more and more Void Rays, and as they scale up, this army is just looking more and more terrifying.
Alicia consistently able to segment Sen's force, only engage a small portion at a time, and of course, engaging a small portion of Hydras means they're going to die instantly, and without the other Hydras adding to supporting damage per second, the Protoss has been losing very little in these engagements. Alicia now pushing forward, up 30 supply.
Trying to come up. I wonder if you should target down the Mothership Core. That seems like a nifty utility to be able to prevent your opponent from retreating, but I don't think Alicia has any ideas of that. He's pushing, and he's pushing hard. Alicia has so many units in this composition, so many force field stalkers, and Void Ray said desperately trying to defend nothing but Lings and Hydras in that production trap, trying to hold off this attack, but Alicia doing so much damage. He's up 185 to 135. I'm not sure if he's lost a unit, to be completely honest, just ravaging Sen's main army. And there's the victory. There's the GG. Alicia takes game number 1. And, you know, I don't know if that placement of the third from Sen, that kind of set the momentum in Alicia's favor from the beginning. It felt like Sen kept scrambling to try to hold that position, and then Alicia able to get Void Rays out on Mothership Core, able to take down that third, and from there it's just catch up from Sen.
There was a lot of things Alicia did to put himself in a great position at that game. Of course, it all started out with that proxy pylon not being scouted by Sen.
Yeah.
Sen was afraid of a gateway timing attack because he didn't scout the Stargate early, and he knows Alicia loves the gateway timings. So it was in a situation where I think about 35 drones, Sen started making roaches and speedlings, and Alicia actually had more workers than his opponent.
Yes.
At the 40 worker count, which is very rare in the PvZ. And then going forward, like you mentioned, the Void Ray sniping at third base. A big moment there, and that pretty much put Sen in a situation where he had to deny his opponent's third base. And of course, that's very difficult to do with just roaches against an opponent who has all those Void Rays out in the field.
Great play there from Alicia, taking the 1-0 lead in this best of 3, making all those Void Rays and making them work. Sen is down a game, but he can still come back. He must win 2 in a row here to advance to the winner's match. Guys, stay tuned. You're watching WCS America Round of 16. Coverage continues after a quick break.